In the early 90s, if you remember, the movie Schindler's List won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. If you remember, the film is based on the life of Oskar Schindler, a German businessman who saved the lives of more than 1,000 mostly Polish Jewish refugees during the Holocaust by employing them in his factories. Steven Spielberg was the director, and back then at the time, Barbara Walters interviewed him and asked him how he felt about being a Jew after he made this movie. And Spielberg's reply was very cogent. He said this: "I feel that I am about something." Now, his statement actually goes to the heart of Jewish wisdom about humankind. The affirmation throughout the scriptures is that not only is humankind created in the likeness of God, but that there is a purpose and destiny to life which we need to find. That we are all about something, and finding that determines how we live and what we do. The problem is that so many people of every era of human history never bother to truly find out what they are about. As Jesus said about the narrow way that leads to life, there are few who choose it. Jesus was well aware that many people never come to grips with life in any meaningful sense. When he began teaching and drawing people toward the kingdom of God, it was an invitation for them to find out what purpose they were living for. And the gospel today tells us that the kingdom of God is not an earthly entity. It is something that's within us. The mystery of the kingdom is about finding out what we are about. That God has planted seeds in each one of us, and we must allow these seeds to come to fruition, to grow. It is in the process of this that we will find out what we are about. So once again, let me refer to David Brooks, who is one of my favorite columnists from the New York Times. A few weeks ago, he asked readers to send in essays describing their purpose in life and how they found it. He received more than 1,000 essays, and he tells us that in the next few weeks he will share many of those with us. But what he found was a common theme which surprised him. He wrote, "I expected most contributors would follow the commencement speech cliches of our high-achieving culture. Dream big, set ambitious goals, try to change the world. In fact, a surprising number of people found their purpose by going the other way, by pursuing the small, happy life." He quotes from one of the essays Elizabeth Young, who once heard the story of a man who was asked by a journalist to show his most precious possession. The man, Young wrote, was proud and excited to show the journalist the gift that he had been bequeathed, a banged-up tin pot that he kept carefully wrapped in cloth as if it were fragile. And the journalist was very confused. What made this dingy pot so valuable? "Well, the message," the friend replied. "The message was this: we do not all have to shine." And with Elizabeth Young, that story resonated so deeply. She wrote, "In that moment, I was able to relieve myself of the need to do something important from which I would reap praise and be rewarded with fulfillment." She said, "My vision cleared. I've always wanted to be effortlessly kind," she wrote. I wanted to raise children who were kind. And she goes on that among those who survived the Nazi death camps, a predominant quality that she noticed was generosity. Perhaps, she concludes, the mission is not a mission at all. Everywhere there are tiny, seemingly inconsequential circumstances that, if explored, provide meaning and chances to be generous and kind. Spiritual and emotional growth happens in microscopic increments. Well, today more than ever, so many people are striving for their 15 minutes of fame, as Andy Warhol predicted so long ago. And with our technology today, with Facebook and YouTube, so many people are spending their whole lives trying to shine. Isn't this really what all those reality TV shows are about? Besides greed and money, they're simply about, look at me, how important I am. Well, shining and being important is not what Jesus calls us to when he tells us that the kingdom of God is within us. And Steven Spielberg didn't answer Barbara Walters' question telling her that the movie made him important. No, he said it gave me something to be about. It made me be able to make a contribution. Well, few of us will probably be able to do what Spielberg did, but all of us must figure out what we are about and what kind of contribution we will make to life. And I constantly go back to one of my favorite examples from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in her work with the dying. She cites the cleaning lady at Chicago Hospital. And it was after this cleaning lady did the rooms of the dying that the hospital personnel noticed such a real change in the moods and in their peacefulness of the dying patients. She simply cleaned the rooms. She probably smiled, or she sang, or she prayed with the dying. The kingdom of God was alive in her. She knew what she was about. I really believe that all of us today need to help our young people understand that it's not all about being important and shining. It's not all about our 15 minutes of fame. That the media can be very dangerous in presenting to our young what they must have and what they must be in order to be happy. It's a sham. It's not all about accumulating things, houses and cars and bank accounts. Those things are nice, but they don't ultimately fulfill. It's about what will make my life truly meaningful. Another essay that David Brooks received was from an elderly man by the name of Hans. At 85, he writes, "The question of meaning in my life is urgent. The question of purpose of my life is another matter. World War II and life in general have taught me that outcomes from our actions or inactions are often totally unpredictable and random." He writes, "I'm thankful to be alive. I have a responsibility to myself and those around me to give meaning to my life from day to day. I enjoy my family," and in quotes he puts, "most of them, and the shrinking number of my old friends." And then he writes, "If there's one thing that keeps me focused, it's the garden. Lots of plants died during the harsh winter, but amazingly the clematises and the roses are back, the lettuce and spinach and tomatoes are thriving in the new greenhouse. The weeping cherry tree in front of the house succumbed to old age. I still have to plant a new tree this year." Certainly, the scale of purpose for Hans is something very beautiful and concrete and well proportioned, just about tending the size of his garden. The kingdom of God, says Jesus, is in each one of us right now. Each one of us has the seeds of purpose within us, and it's not about the commencement speech cliches of our high-achieving culture. It's not about dream big, set ambitious goals, change the world. For most of us, it is about pursuing the small, happy life. There's no reason that each one of us cannot find out what we are about and achieve a purpose for our lives. Spiritual and emotional growth happen in microscopic increments.